Are you currently fighting your iron shots and hitting too far down the golf ball with your driver? Well, in today's video, Graham and I are going to be discussing the reason why golfers struggle to find the low point in their golf swing with irons all the way towards and the driver. So stay tuned and let's get straight into it.
Lovely swing, mate.
Cheers. So let's have a look at the low point then. So with the low point for irons, hybrids, woods, driver, it's very different, isn't it? Just because of the way we attack the ball with irons.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got more loft in your hand. From your pitching wedge to your driver, there's a different loft.
Yeah.
So with your pitching wedge, you're going to be a lot steeper on the ball. Your low point, the bottom of the arc, is going to be much further ahead when you're hitting a pitching wedge than it will be with a 7-iron, 3-iron, hybrid, 3-wood driver. It will change. With the driver, we want to hit it slightly up on the golf ball for most, not for everyone. Now, we change the low point by changing our ball position. So if we've got the ball more in our centre,
so about here,
then it's a lot easier to hit down on the ball and to move our low point ahead of the ball, or bottom of our swing arc ahead.
Yeah.
But if I'm hitting driver, where we've got the ball much further ahead,
in this way,
it's a big shift to then hit it on the downswing.
Yes.
Okay. So body position, head position is going to affect your low point. Your head position is here generally. It's in the middle of your body on most people. Okay. So if we change the ball position from the centre to forward, then our low point is going to change. Okay. Good players are able to control the low point or the bottom of the arc better than the high handicap. It's as simple as that. So the better you are at controlling where you hit the ground, the better you are at golf. Okay.
So obviously ball position plays a massive impact. So with irons then, I suppose pitching wedge would be more in the middle of the stance.
Yes.
Mid-iron, like a 7-iron that I've got here, would be maybe half a ball forward.
Yeah, we're talking half a ball
forward
forward at times. And people are different. There's some players like to have the ball in one position. Personally, I like to move it from the centre.
Yeah.
I rarely, unless I've got to do a particular shot, a much lower shot, would I have it back of centre.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm always going to go from the centre for my sand wedge, pitching wedge, and then gradually just move that half a ball forward each time until we get to the, just inside the left heel where we're going to hit driver.
Okay.
Okay.
So for irons and 7-iron, I'm looking at ball position ever so slightly ahead of the middle of the stance.
Yeah. So I always use, you can use your belt if you've got a belt on, but most people have buttons on the shirt. So that's my sternum. I'm feeling that is, probably just a fraction behind the ball. And then we know we've got it slightly forward of that.
And if for this instance, someone's got the perfect ball position, we've checked that in a lesson, let's just say, but then they're still having the low point too far back here. What could be the cause of that?
So exactly what you just did. You think about in a simple way, you think about your head position. So if you set up, we are behind the ball. If you're having low point issues or bottom of the swing arc issues, then generally you're going to see someone's head's going to fall back. Now that's going to shift the low point behind the ball.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I put it the other way, then your low point is going to be a long way ahead of the ball.
Yeah.
So there's an optimal for everyone. It's not just about get as steep as you can. We want to be able to be consistent with where we hit the ground. If you think about hitting the ground here, rather than here, no one wants to hit the ground there, but think about hitting the ground there, then you've got more chance because you're going to shift your weight to help you do that. It's about how you transfer your weight, and the more consistent your head position is in the golf swing, the more consistent your strike's going to be.
So I suppose obviously we want to keep the head fairly still.
Yeah.
But as you begin to rotate back and forth, the head is going to move a touch, isn't it? Just because of the way the body works.
So if I show you on the camera, if I've stood up straight and all I want to do is turn my shoulders, okay, so I'm going to stand, then that's as far as I can go because I'm not very flexible. So I'll let my head tilt rather than what you'll see a lot of players is head moves. So I've no issue with you letting your head tilt to the side.
Yeah.
I have some issue with it moving
off the ball.
Yeah. Because one, I've changed my spine angle, I've changed my shoulder tilts, and now I've got to get back to the ball, and then suddenly I'm going to be over the top. So if I can, I let my head tilt. Now, you're more flexible than I, so maybe you can keep your head. Now, I do have an issue. You can move off the ball, and longer hitters might move a little bit off the ball, but that's a consistency problem. And people want to be more consistent. So I would say, how do I control the bottom of my swing arc? I would say that keeping my head over the golf ball or in position throughout will give me a consistent bottom of the arc.
Bottom of the arc. And in terms of the bottom of the arc, then for the likes of the irons, we're still wanting to get them descending into the ball, so on that downward motion. In terms of like TrackMan numbers for when people having a look at this, what would we say is the sort of optimal of a 7-iron?
So the tour average for your low point is about 4.5 inches after the ball.
Okay.
So
just about that point.
So we're looking round about here.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the tour average. And they're within half an inch most times. The best in the world, probably half an inch. 10 handicapper, I think, is about 3 inches.
Okay.
With the consistency, so you might be here one, but the next one's going to be behind. Now, often that's because of this move, and we're changing the bottom of our arc. If I want a consistent arc, then moving here and then moving here makes it harder for me to control. So if I can keep my head in position, not down, and work around that, then the control of the low point is much easier.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. So it's more of a twist and a tilt, like you mentioned in the previous video that we've just done, but it's more of a tilt and twist round as opposed to trying to sway off the ball. But how can you make sure you actually get that sort of twisting round, that swing arc, that swing circle, to make sure we're getting that low point right every time?
Well, it's difficult. You know, head position will help massively.
Yeah.
But how controlling the low point is about how we move our body. Now, if I start moving over here, then it's very difficult to control it. You know, I always like to feel this move. So I've set imagine that's the club face.
Yeah.
I'm going to set a little bit of forward in my
yeah.
wrist. So I'm creating a little bit more angle, a bit more extension in my right wrist. Okay. Now, if I move my head, then that arc is changing constantly. Okay. So I can afford to be a little bit more up.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. But keep my head in position, and then I can control the bottom of the arc that way.
Yeah.
Obviously, if it's moving this way, then the low point's going to be different. So the better players are, there's a reason why we can look at most golf swings on there, and usually the client will say the head doesn't move, you know, and then they can see that, you know, whoever you're coaching, this way, or some might go that way.
Yeah.
But then your low point is harder to control.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, what frustrates me is when people come and see me and say, I can't keep my head still.
Yeah.
When anyone can keep the head still, it's the way, like you said, the body actually begins to turn or sway.
Yeah.
Because if we get the turn correctly, like you mentioned, the head should stay relatively still,
Sure.
like the players on tour. But if we get that shift side to side,
Yeah.
makes it difficult, and therefore makes it difficult to get the low point right.
So don't be afraid of having, you know, allowing your neck tilts, if you
Yeah.
like, or your head to tilt, how you think. Because, as I say, I've got restricted movement, so that's as much as I can turn. Now, if I move my head, I can suddenly turn a bit further,
Yeah.
but then the ball's over there. I
Yeah.
need to get my eyes back on the ball, so I'm going to
Go over
work
the top.
this way
Yeah. And how would that look with the golf club?
with a golf club. So we're going to get to a good position here, and then I've reached my maximum turn. So we tend to come out of the shot. Now I've got to get back to the golf ball, and I'm in this
Go that way.
position. So I'm going to drag it across me, more than likely stand up and early extend.
To stop from hitting behind the ball.
Yeah. So I'm always thinking, right, keep my head in position, and then hopefully the strike is pretty much guaranteed.
Yeah. So you, a player that's played in quite a lot of tournament golf, you're looking for that 4.5 inches past the ball.
It would always depend on your club speed, but yes, you know, I'm about the tour average with a 7-iron, so I can go off the tour averages. So the average with a 7-iron is 4.5 inches. Depends on your shot shape as well. So if you're a drawer of the ball, then you're going to be a little bit shallower into the back of the ball, so your low point won't be as great. If you're a fader of the ball, so someone like Justin Thomas who fades it, or Brooks Koepka, their bottom of the arc is about 8 inches ahead of the ball. So it varies. It depends on your shape.
That's a lot, that, isn't it?
It is, and it can change. But you know, why do you go to the Open? Say you go to the Open at Troon this year, and you'll stand directly opposite someone on the par 3, and there's not one divot, well, there will be, but generally the divots are ahead of the tee marker. Okay, and how do I get that? It's by hitting down on the ball. I cannot get a divot ahead of the ball if my head is shifting back.
And if you are shifting that way, obviously we've just spoken about keeping that arc and turning round. What's a good way that we can basically make sure that we're hitting on that downward motion? You mentioned a couple of drills previously.
Yeah.
In a previous video we've done, would they help in this concept as well?
I like to feel, I'm more centered in my golf swing. I don't like a shift off.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm trying at setup, I'm probably 55% on my left side.
Okay.
All right, I'm favouring my left side because I'm trying to get there. So we can exaggerate that, and let's say we go 60-40 or even 70-30, favouring my lead leg, okay? And then that helps me stay with the ball. Now I'm going to feel more pressure in that left side because we're keeping the centre of mass, our head, over the golf ball. Now, as long as I don't shift back onto that side, which can happen, of course, but it's having the confidence
to stay over it.
To stay over the ball and to hit the ground. I've had people say to me, ask, can they take a divot? Well, no, it's difficult in here, appreciate, but even on the course, can I take a divot? Well, if you're scared of hitting the ground, then you're only going to do this. Don't be afraid of taking some divots. Put them back, obviously, or you'll upset the greenkeeper, but can I stay centred?
And then over the ball.
And then keep my weight on that left side.
That's interesting, because that little shift at the start that you said, you like to feel at 55%, 60% on the lead side. Is that you from bumping your hip forward? Is that you just tilting your whole body that way, moving your body that way?
On the downswing, you mean? Or?
Sorry, from setup. So obviously you'd set up 50-50 first, and then when you get that bump forward, is that coming from the hip? Is it coming from
I'm just feeling my hip.
Just moving your hip?
Can I push into the ground? If I push my left foot into the ground, then that'll help me, So I've got probably 90% of my weight on the left. Yeah. Well, okay. So it feels like I'm going more into the toes of my foot a little bit. Yeah, but just favouring. It's not bump my hips so much.
Because then you're tilting backwards, aren't you?
It's not move here. As much as I can, if I stand up straight and go, okay, put a little bit more weight on the left. Yeah. So on and so forth. So just favouring the left side. There'll be better iron player if you favour the left side. Okay, as long as we don't too much.
Yeah.
Okay, the sure sign is if you're hitting it very low, very thin, then more than likely you're getting a little bit. But I don't see many.
Yeah, we don't see many golfers that come in that are actually quite too much on that downward motion, do we?
No,
not at all.
Very rarely, and I think it would benefit more people just to feel. It's not a massive move, is it? But just favouring the left side, and you can see how straight helps me. Hands ahead of the ball. Yeah. Can I stay there? Yeah, and I'm going to drill it out a little bit lower. Yeah. So it's a drill. We exaggerate things in a drill. Yeah, definitely. Rather than do it a little bit and you don't see any change. Yeah. Want to give it a go?
Yeah, definitely. And in terms of the launch angle then, what's the optimal for someone like ourselves and then someone out there that's looking to practice this? Let's just say they're playing off 10 to 20 handicap or maybe even above.
I'd say if they can get to around about 20 degrees with a 7-iron, then, it depends on your club speed, of course. If you're swinging it at 60 miles an hour, then launching it at a lower angle, you're not going to see any distance. So there's an optimal for everyone. So if we said 20 degrees for the average, we won't be far off.
Yeah, and for someone like ourselves, you've just hit that at 9.4 just to exaggerate things on that left side.
It's far too low.
What would you be looking at for?
So I'd say as a drill, see how low you can get it. Okay, I've no issue. I used to practice hitting how low can I hit a 7-iron.
Okay, so from ball position staying the same.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're just bumping the hips a little bit more than what we would like. Yeah. Set up, and then from there we're just trying to hold that angle and just make sure. I mean, I didn't do this before, did I? But I didn't turn, did I? I just used an armsy swing. So I'm just going to make sure I turn on this one and just see how low I can get it.
Great shot. Lovely shot, that.
Definitely felt like I was attacking the ball that way.
And you can experiment with that.
Yeah,
so launch
10.9. Yeah. want to give a quick shout out to GX Golf. They provide high quality golf gloves for a fraction of the price in comparison to the rest on the market at the moment. I've been using these gloves now for the last couple of months, really impressed with the quality, and I would highly recommend giving these a try. Using my discount code below as well, Harry10, you can get yourself a great 10% discount on their great bundle packages of 3, 6 or 9 gloves. So make sure you go ahead and check them out. Link will be in the description below.
Yeah, so there's my arc, the swing arc. Okay,
Yeah.
how do I steepen?
Right.
Now I don't want anyone hitting it from there.
No.
Okay, how do I go? The reverse
It's
I'm going to hit that ball
yeah.
on the upswing. Now that's great with a driver, perhaps for some, but for the majority of golfers, we need to get them hitting the ball and then the ground.
Then the ground afterwards.
And you can only do that. Well, it's not the only way, but the easier way is to feel that little shift into the left side,
and then going through from there. Okay, so for me, would I be looking at around that 16, 18 mark?
Yeah, I think that's plenty. 16 is good for you. I mean, you hit the ball high anyway, don't you? So
yeah.
There'd be no issue with you going a little lower.
A bit lower,
yeah.
just because I'm a bit shallow into the ball. So let's hit one more with the iron, and then we'll have a look at the woods and the driver to see what difference there is there. So aiming for that 16 degree, let's see. A touch ground first. Don't think I shifted forward enough. But what was the launch angle? Let's have a look there. Okay, so 17 and a half, still pretty good.
It's
definitely.
That's still, you know, I think it's 19 the tour average. I'd have to check that one, but it's roughly there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for you, a good feel is, you know, you hit the ball high enough. We'd want to almost bring that down a little bit and get you launching it a fraction lower. It's a drill, isn't it? So we're trying to exaggerate it. So we're getting left side.
Yeah.
Right side, you're going to hit it a lot higher.
Got you.
Launch it a lot higher.
Someone like myself.
So when we look at driver or 3-wood, then obviously we want that launch.
Yeah.
Will be lower, but we're going to feel like we're launching it because we've got less loft in our hand.
Got you. Okay, well, let's take a look at the hybrid then.
So we've had 7-iron in the centre.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where would you like to play the hybrid from?
For hybrid, well, I haven't actually got a hybrid in the bag currently, so I'm just going to judge this from like my utility iron. I've got the 2-iron. So for me, it's almost pretty much somewhere in between where the middle of my stance would be and where I'd have the driver placed, maybe a little bit more favouring the front side if it's on a little tee.
Yeah.
But if it's not, then I'll favour it more, just bang on in the middle, in between the middle of the stance and my lead heel.
Absolutely. No, you bang on. The key, when the ball's on the ground, we're trying to hit the ball and then the ground. Okay, we can hit up on it. I've seen, you can see also, I've seen people hit up on it, but it doesn't translate to longer distance. As soon as someone sees less loft, they automatically think, right, I need to add loft. You know, until we're very low swing speeds, then, you know, we've got to hit down on the golf ball. Okay. You know, it might be 1 or 2 degrees. You're probably 6 or 7 degrees with your swing speed, I imagine, with 7-iron. But that will work if you've got enough loft in at your speed. For the majority of people, it won't. So we need to change, you know. I had you with a 7-iron, and we were saying that the low point, we're not changing the swing here, the low point was about 4 inches, roughly, probably a little bit more. So the bottom of your arc with your 7-iron, okay? Now, we don't want that as much with there. We want to hit it on the downswing still, but not as. So we've changed that we've moved the ball forward. Okay, so our low point is closer to the golf ball, but it will still be ahead. So our low point roughly is often pretty much with your left armpit.
That's an interesting one. I've not heard that before.
Okay, so that's roughly the bottom of your swing arc.
Right.
If we do things correctly. But if it's a rule. Okay, so we're almost at a 0, bottom of the swing arc, so we would expect it to be 1 or 2 degrees. Now, I've moved that forward a little bit. You said you'd play it probably...
About there, yeah.
Yeah, so more like a 3 or 4 iron.
Okay.
But the key is, at your swing speed, again, we're hitting down on that ball. You try and hit up on it, then you're only going to hit fat and thin.
So would you say it's the same feeling that we've just done with the irons, just less exaggerated?
Yeah, because the balls, I'd still favour, anytime the ball's on the ground, I'm still favouring my left side.
So would you say it's still 55 to 60% on the left side?
55,
so
no more than that. That's
50, 55, so still bumping the hip a touch forward to get that sensation of 55% there. Hybrid, and then I'm just still feeling like I'm keeping it on that side.
Yeah, especially with hybrids. We're not trying to pick it off the turf. I just want you to play it like an iron. I found better results trying to play those hybrids more like an iron shot, you know, and trust the loft, the design to get the ball up, the heavy at the sole and at the back, so they're there to help you get, not you to help the ball up.
So it's almost like letting the club do the work and just make that swing the same.
Yeah.
As opposed to trying to conjure up things, because that's what we see too often, isn't it? People trying to conjure up swings. Oh, my iron swings like this, my driver swings like X, Y, Z, and you think, let's just keep it simple.
Yeah, it's
So
just the
definitely.
same. All we've done there is change, so the bottom of the arc,
Yeah.
you know, if all things are equal and you're not changing too much in your setup, then as we swing, then the bottom of the arc is going to be roughly here. So we then set the club. So if I'm ball here, bottom of the arc's here.
Yeah.
If my ball's back here,
Like there.
the bottom of the arc's still going to be there, and I'm going to hit it very low
Yeah.
because it's more on the downswing, isn't it? But for
If
a
you can
hybrid
hit it
club,
from there, yeah.
yeah. So we're looking to still hit that on the downswing.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be having it. It's certainly not inside the left heel.
Yeah.
We've probably got that 2 inches, 3 inches inside, probably off left chest, isn't it?
Yeah.
The logo on your shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, got you. So same feeling, just looking for the low point to be same position.
Yeah.
We just moved the ball position
Exactly,
slightly
yeah.
forward, haven't we? Yeah. So less space. So about 2-3 inches. Let's have a look. Right. Yeah, that was nice.
Lovely. So did you feel like you hit the ball and then the ground?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, so
Definitely
you're
felt like
hitting
I was
down
still
on that.
hitting the ball and then ground afterwards. Nowhere near as much as the 7-iron or what we would do with a wedge.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking at the launch angle there.
Now you've got the speed to deal with that.
Yeah.
You know, at average speeds, then I certainly don't want your launch at 7 degrees.
Okay.
So, you know, it varies person to person, but that doesn't mean you're moving forward. You know, you're able to attack it and hit the ball more on the downswing, you more spin on it. You know, you're not looking you don't need any more distance, do you?
No.
No.
Just need to hit it straight.
Yeah. Well, that's another issue.
So we've had a look at the irons, we've had a look at the hybrid.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the driver now.
Driver. Okay.
Yeah, so driver, obviously for me, with the ball position, just to help with that low point. Obviously, we almost want to be looking at, still from that left armpit point, aren't we? But because I've got the ball position now, for me, it's always in line with the left heel for me.
Yeah.
Just like a nice indication for me. So I'll set up there, and then pretty much the low point is where my driver head is actually resting, isn't it,
pretty
really?
much. So left armpit is pretty much there. So this is why, you know, Harry would like to hit it slightly on the upswing at your speed. We don't need to be excessive, do we? We don't need 10
Don't need
degrees.
to be back here.
No.
No.
And I'll see it a lot with, if you know, face the camera, I see it a lot with driver.
Go on, I'll let you.
That, where people will try to get, you know, that's my 7-iron, okay, but driver is just, I move the ball forward. I'm not suddenly trying to get more behind the ball or get into a false position. I'm moving the ball forward, and that is changing the tilts in my shoulders, and it's changing my head position. I don't need to add that into it.
Yeah, you don't need excessive tilt afterwards, do you? It's already set in position. I see that so many times as well, and that, again, affects that low point, and people wonder why they hit the ground with the driver.
Yeah.
Well, then end up hitting the bottom of it if they just don't quite hit the ground.
Yeah.
Definitely.
If your low point's back here because you've tilted back,
Yeah.
then you're going to go over the top of the ball, hit the bottom of the club and all sorts.
So with this then, obviously we've had the feeling from the irons and hybrids still keeping the weight a little bit more on, favouring on the lead side. For the average player out there, would you be looking at the same with driver?
It's a little bit harder because you're in different, so it would become more that bump the hips forward.
Yeah.
Because I don't want you
No, we don't
feeling
want this
too
way.
left. So some say 55, 45, favouring the right hand side. I'm 50-50.
50-50.
For myself. You know?
I'm the same. I like to keep it simple rather than trying to
Shouldn't
conjure
be
up
changing
anything.
too much
No.
from club to club.
Because like you mentioned just then, because we've changed the setup anyway, it's encouraged this little tilt, this bump into the hip forward without really thinking about it. That's just going to help us make that swing from there, isn't it? So I'm not going to try and add any more pressure into this lead side to hit it down, because I want to see that launch angle at, what would you say, for driver for me?
Between, I would say 12 would be great.
12 would be good.
Sort of the optimal for you. It always depends. But
And then
if it's a little bit lower.
For the player watching this, we would say higher 15?
12 to 15 is good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So aiming for 12. Let's see. Oh, get out of that tree. A little bit left, but the strike was good.
Sounded good.
So let's
a little
have
bit
look at the
lower, I
launch.
would say.
Definitely, yeah. I think I've got too used to going that way now, haven't I? Right, let's hit one more.
So let me hit another one. The key, as we said earlier, is your head position. Now it's changed in relation to the ball with every club, hasn't it? So 7-iron, I was more centred. With the hybrid, my head's a little bit behind, and with driver, it's a little bit further behind. So my head position in the golf swing shouldn't change, and then I won't be altering the launch too much.
So yeah, it's literally just moving the ball position. Yeah. And I suppose just from me doing that there though from the start, I could almost feel like my shoulders opening up a little bit. So maybe, like you say, just bumping the hip a touch forward just to help you get the shoulders back to square.
We see it a lot. As we get more, ball goes forward, then I'm adding the arc.
Opening up,
so I'm starting to open, and the club is arcing to the left of my target as a right-hander. So I have to kind of counter that a little bit. Yeah. And that's why it's not unusual to have players still favouring the left side, but the way we do that is
bumping it forward a touch.
And bump the hips, and that already increasing. So we don't need to add
not too much
turn of the head. So just feel the head's, staying in position.
Yep, stay
as you swing this time.
Okay. One left, one right. Nice strike again, though.
Nice strike, yeah.
I know why I did that. Just left the face open a bit too much.
Mm-hmm.
But nice strike. Yeah, so the launch angle was a bit higher then, wasn't it? Just because I tried to stay in that position.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. My default, if I'm striking it badly, is head position for me. Can I keep my head, keep saying it, in position? It's not keep my head down, that's a different story.
You just said then it's not necessarily the head position, it's keeping it.
Yeah, it's not keeping the head down, because, I hate keeping the head down.
Yes.
And then my body doesn't turn.
No good.
Now, I can allow my head to turn or tilt and follow the ball. It's a different story. So my head is set behind the ball, okay? We can even have your head, I like to sometimes feel that I'm not looking at the ball. That's a different story. We can allow, we can hit it more. I'm not looking at the ball, but let my head tilt more. It's far too stiff for me.
It was worth
we can allow
the
head to follow it, but it's head position.
So
keeping your head in position.
Like the shoulder movement, isn't it? So if we're getting the shoulders back and forth this way, and it's just letting the head follow it on the way back and on the way through, isn't it?
Yeah. Let head is tilting there, isn't it? It's not. I'm not trying to keep it down.
Yeah.
We can allow it to follow the ball, and then we can allow it to lift and go through.
Excellent. Right, one last try. Finish on one nice and straight one. Okay. So head moving with the shoulders on the way through.
Just follow it.
Yeah. Bit heely, but I definitely let my head tilt upwards. That should finish off fairly nicely. Go on. Come on, just get on the green. Oh, just shy.
Short one for you, that, mate. Good though. I'll take it. Only 3:15.